Hello everybody, this is Johns Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and welcome back to one of our 5-minute histories videos. I want to say thank you to everybody who has contributed so far. You got us through the spring and deep into the summer now. It's July, so thank you so much, and thanks for everybody who's thinking about contributing. I also want to say thanks for those of you who are sending in suggestions. Although I haven't done an official tally, the shot tower has to be near the top of the tally sheet on what people want to see covered, so hopefully we'll come through today. And a final thank you to a gentleman named Matt Hood, who is with Carroll Museums, Inc., the nonprofit that runs the shot tower. He's done a ton of research on the tower and has shared it. And so I want to say thanks. This is where the material comes from today. All right, the shot tower was, the cornerstone was laid in 1828 by none other than Charles Carroll of Carrollton. And that was a good choice because he lived only a block away and he was the last remaining signer of the Declaration of Independence. So he's kind of a celebrity at that time. And the tower is actually, you know what, if we were on an in-person tour, I would hold this up, I'll show it to you. It's a Hershey's Chocolate Kiss. And I would say, guess how tall the tower is and guess how many bricks there were in it. And if you got the answer right, you get the Hershey Kiss. And if you guess 215 feet 9 inches tall and 1.1 million bricks, you'd be right and you'd get the kiss. I'm sorry that I can't give it to you. That's how tall it was. It was the tallest structure in the United States when it was built, and it remained so for 18 years. So an enormous tower. So the question then you're asking is, why did we need such an enormous tower in Baltimore? And the answer is simple. Duck hunting. The tower made lead shot for duck hunters. The Chesapeake Bay had a lot of ducks and a lot of duck hunters, both commercial hunters and recreational hunters. And in fact, at the era when our shot tower was put up in the 1820s, 1830s, there were no fewer than 3 other shot towers in Baltimore producing lead shot for the gaming industry. So a lot of shot. Lead shot, surprisingly, was also used for some other purposes. It was said that if you mixed it with milk and boiled it and drank it, that would help cure boils. And women, especially in the day, were encouraged to chew on the lead shot to help clear their complexions. Apparently the arsenic helped clear complexions. That sounds pretty gruesome. So we've got this tall shot tower, and you say, well, why did we were producing shot for duck hunting, but why does it need to be so tall? And the answer is that our tower produced what was called drop shot. And we can thank drop shot to a gentleman named William Watts, who was a plumber in Bristol, England. And William Watts, one day in 1782, somewhere around then, had a dream. Apparently he soldered during his day and he soldered during his night because he had a dream that he was in a field and it was raining, but instead of drops of water, it was drops of lead, molten lead. And he had a realization that if you go up high enough and you drop a liquid, any kind of liquid, it will form into a ball. At first, it starts out as a teardrop, but as it gains speed and gains distance, the Newtonian forces of gravity and then the countervailing force of air pressure turn that teardrop into a ball. And so if you can get high enough, you can turn really any liquid into a ball as it falls. As he woke up and he realized this, William began to experiment. And the first thing he did was he dug out his basement. His house was not tall enough for dropping lead shot, so he dug out his basement. That didn't do it either. So he built a couple more stories onto his house, and lo and behold, he got the distance needed. And he patented lead shot, drop shot that is, and began making it. Drop shot towers appeared in England. We were a little late to the game. This is the 1780s. We didn't get our first tower, drop shot tower, until 1807, I believe, in Virginia, soon followed by one in Philadelphia. And that was good because in the War of 1812, the British were not about to supply the enemy, us, with ammunition. So those 2 shot towers supplied us with ammunition to fight off the British. Our tower, again, tall. You say, well, why is it, how does it work? How did they make the shot? Well, what happened was up inside that tower, there's a lattice work of stairs up to platforms, and workers would take bars of lead along with antimony and arsenic, and maybe nickel. I think there might have been another metal in there, and they'd trudge them up the stairs all the way to near the top where there were furnaces, and they would smelt down the lead, add the antimony and the arsenic and whatever, and then pour it through what amounted to a colander. And the colander had holes in it the size of whatever shot you needed, and it would fall down the middle of the tower into a big pool of water, a big basin of water at the bottom, and it would cool off. And the bigger the shot, if you wanted to shoot, say, canvasback ducks, you didn't need very big shots, so you might only go up a few flights to do your dropping. If you wanted to shoot a Canada geese, you might have to go up near the top because you needed a really big ball of lead for that. Once the lead fell down into the water, it was pulled out and rolled over a smooth glass table with some grooves in it. And the smooth shot, the ones that were perfectly round, would roll right over the grooves. The lopsided shots, the ones that maybe hadn't made it out of the teardrop stage quite yet, would bounce around and into the grooves and fall down to the bottom to be resmelted. So at the end of the day, you got this round shot that you would bag up and then send out all over the Chesapeake region, maybe even further, for all the happy duck hunters out there. The shot tower operated until 1892, when it was acquired by a national conglomerate and that was buying up shot towers around the country. There were towers in Cincinnati and St. Louis and San Francisco and Portland, Boise, Idaho, I believe, Dubuque, Iowa. There were shot towers all over, and they wanted to control the price of shots. So they bought up towers and then closed them down, including the one here in Baltimore. And it sat vacant, but still very much beloved until 1921, when a company called Union Oil, I think it was, bought up the property and proposed tearing down the shot tower to build a gas station. What better place for the up-and-coming automobile industry than on busy Fayette Street heading into or out of the city? But they wanted to tear down the shot tower. And within days, that sparked an outcry in Baltimore. People were writing in. Even Mayor William Broening said that he was going to save the tower. But unfortunately, his conviction lasted only one day, 24 hours. 24 hours later, the chief engineer writes back in the Baltimore Sun that we're not saving the tower. The asking price was too high. So there was a big effort to save it, but it fizzled out, and nothing was ultimately done in 1921. Luckily, Union Oil did not tear it down. There was a little bit of a depression going on in the early 1920s, so it remained until 1924, when Union Oil regained steam and got actually a demolition permit from the city to tear it down. And that sparked another outcry, probably Baltimore's first real preservation effort. A gentleman named Radcliffe, who was on the board of trustees of the Maryland Historical Society, decided to take up the cause. And he started raising money. The asking price now for just the tower and 5 feet of land around it, so not a big park, just a little park, was $50,000, twice the appraised fee. But Radcliffe, undaunted, started raising money. And he had the help of women's groups. The Women's Club of Roland Park had teas. They hosted teas where they would raise money. Other women's groups rented out theaters and had special shows to raise money. And eventually, Radcliffe raises $17,000. And that was enough for the Union folks, and they eventually agreed to sell, although apparently Radcliffe himself had pledged a fairly large amount from his personal fortune and was rather reluctant to cough it up at the end, but eventually did. So we have a shot tower. So since the 1920s, the shot tower, and then the group that Radcliffe headed up gave it to the city. So since the 1920s, the shot tower has been owned by Baltimore City. It served various purposes. It was a training area for National Guard in World War II in case the Nazis attacked Baltimore. It was a fallout shelter during the Cold War. And beginning in even the 1920s, the chief engineer of the city rigged up this light and steam show where steam would come shooting out of the top of the tower with various color lights to make it look like a big flame. And in fact, on the dedication day in 1929, the fire department was not given the memo and rushed over to evacuate everybody from the building. The steam show kept going until the 1960s. William Donald Schaefer actually tried to revive it in the 1980s, but by then the steam lines had all been shut down. So I'm going to leave you with this final note of the shot tower and its preservation efforts. So please come on out, take a look around. If you see there is construction fence around it, that's because our good friends at the Carroll Museums in the city are doing a big renovation where they're stabilizing the interior stairs. So when we are able to, and when it's back open, we'll not only be able to go see the shot tower, we'll be able to get our steps in and climb up to the very top. All right, and I'm going to end with this. This little Hershey's Kiss is not going to go to waste. I'm sorry if you guessed the right answer, but I am out here very early trying to beat the noise, and this is going to be the first step of my breakfast. If you pass judgment on me, just think I'm sure you have eaten a granola bar with chocolate in it. So think of this as a granola bar with chocolate, but just without the granola. All right, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.